So let's take a moment to just talk about that because I know this is a debate. Do or should there be a stricter enforcement of that law that is there for essentially when they're talking about batsmen who don't have the skill to cope up with this, they should not have to deal with this level of fast bowling or like deliveries that could harm them. Like, what is your take on that whole thing, that whole debate? Because there was a lot of questions raised as to, there was even that article that, yeah, if they had called it free hit, that would essentially not be an incentive uh, for them to bowl those bouncers. Mike.
So I think, yeah, the problem with this law, the law 41.6, which is about dangerous bowling, is, as you said, the question you asked me was based on the skill of the batsman. Now that itself is very subjective. For somebody who's playing his 160th game, sure, we have a good idea of how Anderson bats. You could argue we have a good idea of how Bumrah bats with 20 games as well. But there's going to be cases where a bouncer at 145 at Gaul in Sri Lanka is different from that at Gaba because it's just a much quicker wicket. And then there's obviously going to be cases where the tail ender might be a debutant or something like that. So the umpire may not have any clear way of understanding what the skill level is. So my issue with this law is, let's make it consistent. Let's just say, hey, 9, 10, 11, we're not going to bowl any bouncers. And by the way, bouncers just means above the shoulder. So you can still bowl at their chest. So that's totally fine. You can still soften them up. But let's have that absolutely like no gray area sort of law, rather than having this law which almost reminds me of Spirit of Cricket and that kind of crap, which is very subjective and can be debated either way.